Good morning, Meshach. It's Tuesday, November 2nd, and I'm a vegetarian. But I try to avoid talking about it because I don't want to be that obnoxious virtue-signaling vegetarian that you see memes about. Every once in a while, though, it does come up in conversation, and when it does, I get one of two responses. Response number one is, "Oh, no way, me too. How long have you been a vegetarian?" And response number two is, "Oh, no way, I could never be a vegetarian." First of all, yes way. I don't know why both groups start off with no way. And second of all, and more importantly, if you are part of the second group that believes that you can't become a vegetarian, I'm here to tell you that you can, or you can at least severely reduce the amount of meat that you consume on a daily basis. So today, on our second day of our second how-to week, I'm going to be teaching you how to severely reduce your meat consumption or even become a vegetarian. So first of all, you should not do it the way that I did it. I was sitting up in my room one day researching the impact that meat has on the environment when I decided in that moment that starting in the new year, I wouldn't eat any meat. Pardon the pun, but you could say I went cold turkey. Get it? Now, this tactic did work for me. I've been a vegetarian for about 6 years now, but it is not what I recommend to most people. There are lots of people who try and go vegetarian because they watched Cowspiracy or Food Inc. who just fail. And it's not because those documentaries aren't sufficiently moving or informative, it's because it's really hard to change your behavior that quickly. I think people are inclined to say that they could never become a vegetarian because in that moment they're thinking about how much their lifestyle would have to change to eliminate meat from their diets. But that's the wrong way to think about it. I mean, if someone came to me today and asked, "Hey, do you think you could eliminate tomatoes from your diet?" I don't think I would say yes. But if someone came to me and they asked me, "Do you think you could not eat tomatoes tomorrow?" Obviously I could. And if I could go one day a week, I could probably go 2 days a week. And I believe that if you can go 2 days a week without eating tomatoes, then you can go vegetarian. So finally, step one in becoming a vegetarian is deciding that you really want to. I've seen lots of people fail to become a vegetarian, not because they didn't have the resources or because they missed the taste, but because they weren't sufficiently motivated. And of course that makes sense, because if you're not motivated, then it's a totally arbitrary thing to do. I'm a vegetarian because I care a lot about the environment. I mean, the other stuff is nice. I'm glad that my diet is ethical and my colon is probably happy about the decision, but ultimately, I'm a vegetarian because cow farts are bad for the environment. So yeah, step one is finding your reason. And there are lots of them. Whatever it is, make sure that you really care about it and that it's not just an excuse to become vegetarian. And step two is the easy part. Slowly work meat out of your diet. Next time you're at a restaurant, look over the menu and look for a vegetarian option. Maybe get that one instead of the meat option. Next time you're at the grocery store, consider buying Impossible or Beyond Meat. It's a little bit more expensive, but if you can afford it, it's worth it. And if you can't afford it, that's okay too. There are so many satisfying and delicious vegetarian options. And yes, it is a little bit more effort to find those options, but if you followed step one and you have a really good reason for why you want to become a vegetarian, then it's worth that little extra effort. The important thing about step two is that you're trying to reduce your meat consumption, not eliminate it entirely. This is important because if you slip up, you shouldn't consider yourself not a vegetarian or a failure. You haven't failed. And the final step, step three, is find what works for you and stick with it. If a no-meat diet works for you, great, I'm happy for you. But if you just can't give up mom's meatballs because they're just too delicious, great, I'm happy for you too. And I'm actually really proud of you for making an effort even though you don't really have to. Maybe as time progresses, your habits will change and you will move to full vegetarianism, but for now, you're doing what you can to save the planet and maybe do an ethical thing. I hope this helps. I know that becoming a vegetarian seems like a really monumental task, but it's very doable. Schmucks like me do it every day. I really, really think you can do it, especially if you want to. Meshach, I'll see you tomorrow.